This is a pictorial summary of the visit that Barbara and I made to visit Elizabeth in Rome in spring 2011. The angel you're looking at is a apparently grieving angel, perhaps over the demise or death of someone famous or important. This was taken in Florence in the Santa Croce Basilica, but our journey begins in Rome. It happened to be the weekend of the beatification of John Paul II, so it was a special time to be in Rome. Elizabeth met us at the train station, and we walked the streets of Rome. We had a very nice lunch, saw some beautiful sights, and continued walking. We, after lunch, went to the Colosseum, which is difficult to capture in pictures such as these. This is a description of the arena itself. Afterwards, we left the Colosseum and walked behind it to see this beautiful memorial, the name of which I do not recall. Pictured is some detail from the monument. Behind the Colosseum, we had some different views of it, and we explored the area behind it. We continued walking and came upon the Vittoriano Museum, which is a memorial to Victor Emmanuel, who was the first uniter of Italy. Many Romans consider it an eyesore and not fitting the rest of the architecture. I found it to be beautiful, imposing but beautiful, and it's carved of all white marble. There is an unknown soldier from World War I and an eternal flame. This is a square in Rome called Trevi Fountain. You walk around a building and this is what greets your eyes. It's stunningly beautiful. The Pantheon was built in about 125 AD, originally to honor all the Roman gods. Several centuries later, it was given to the Catholic Church and is now a shrine for Catholic martyrs. And this is Elizabeth and Barbara very much enjoying some gelato, after which we continued our walk. And there are many beautiful sights in Rome. This is a particular intersection, and each corner has a unique sculpture. That evening we had one of our best meals in Italy. We had the wine there in the pitcher. And the next morning we got up and walked to the Spanish Steps, and we saw workers putting roses on meshwork for some sort of celebration. And this is a view up the Spanish Steps to the cathedral or church above, and a view back down Rome, an alley in Rome. Again, many stunningly beautiful things, and inside the church, similarly beautiful. We left the Spanish Steps and continued our journey on foot, walking maybe 6 or 8 miles a day, but we did stop for roast chestnuts, which were excellent. Here's a bust of Archimedes, and you see a tiny little truck, which you see all over Italy. The next day, we drove to Sorrento, and the trip there included a journey to Positano. This was the view out of our hotel window in Sorrento. And we met up with distant relatives of Barbara's, including the 92-year-old mother of 2 daughters that Barbara had met many years ago. And it was good to see them. We went to their house. They were nice enough to pick us up, and these are their children with Elizabeth. In their backyard is nothing but lemon trees, and the lemon trees fruit all year long, and they have Gorges as well. We had some espresso at their house and left to travel to Positano, a gorgeous town along the coast. This is a picture along the way and in Positano itself. We paused for a few more pictures. Unfortunately, it was somewhat cloudy, but it's gorgeous in any weather. It was a shopper's delight for Barbara and Elizabeth, but not so much for me. But my eyes very much feasted on the sights. Down at the beach, the sand is dark, and there are small waves, and this is a very nice picture of Barbara. Every view is a picture. This is a close-up of some pebbles on the beach. We paused for another group shot. And later that day we went to Pompeii, Elizabeth, Barbara, and I. In about 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted and covered the city in about 6 or 7 meters of ash. Subsequently, this was excavated, and there was much more excavation than I had anticipated. The light was just right at certain spots to create beautiful pictures. That is Mount Vesuvius in the background. One can only imagine what it looked like on the morning that it erupted. Later that evening, we went back to Sorrento, did a little shopping, and saw the largest jar of Nutella I've ever seen. And we took some pictures in the main section of Sorrento itself. You see the beautiful color of the buildings. There's a statue in the center, and ubiquitous lemons are everywhere in Sorrento. This is a picture towards sunset. We went and had a fine meal and had our cappuccino afterward. The next morning we awakened again in Sorrento and went down to the dining room of our hotel where we had breakfast every morning. And that morning we took a ferry to the Isle of Capri. This is still in Sorrento, awaiting the ferry, and me in my new jacket looking like a salsichi or sausage, but a much better picture of Elizabeth and Barbara. There are several ferries that take people and cars to the island, and that is the first shots of the island that we saw as we approached it. We rode the funiculare up the side of the mountain and looked back and had these views back at the ocean. The Isle of Capri is also a shopper's paradise and very, very pleasant. We ascended the steps to the main church, which is beautiful in its relative simplicity compared to many of the cathedrals and basilicas that we had seen and would see later. These huge bean pods are fava beans, and we also saw the ever-present laundry hanging out of windows all over Italy. There are tiny little walkways and passageways between the houses in Capri, and we explored them extensively. We would come out and have views such as these. It brightened at times to begin to see the blue water that Capri is famous for, but unfortunately, the period of time that was cloudless was quite limited. Nevertheless, again, beautiful. That cat, until it moved, we thought was a statue as well, and we see more and more oranges. Eventually, it was time to leave this section of the trip.